It's time. All right, everybody. It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, Califas. It's time for the SHOESHINE, the return of the SHOESHINE, and we took a week off for the holiday. Joining me all the way from the East Coast, my East Coast counterpart, Philly Irish, Mr. Drew Evo. Que pasa, homie? What's going on, Drew?
What's up, Dave?
Yeah, man. Hey, I want to send a shout out to everybody that supported that last show with Jesus Ramos Jr., who performed on that PBC card. That was the best episode of the SHOESHINE so far that we've posted on YouTube. Over 600 views. For you and I, that's been a real struggle, man. So I appreciate everybody who shared it, who tuned in, who gave us a thumbs up, who dropped a comment. And most importantly, I thank Jesus Ramos for not only joining us and giving the SHOESHINE a chance, but performing, man, quite to me, his debut at 154 pounds went very, very well. A very game Brian Mendoza. This guy, Brian Mendoza, trains with Ugas. He's a sparring partner for the other top Cuban fighter. And of course, he trains with Salas. This guy is no bum, right? That was quite an accomplishment. And also, I want to send a shout out to, if you didn't catch the episode before that, check out the episode we did with our friend Francisco Esparza Jr., retired fighter from Las Vegas, who now trains Alma Ibarra, who is a mandatory for the WBC welterweight championship against Jessica McCaskill. Drew, we briefly mentioned a very sad story about a Mexican fighter. She was only 18 years old. The last time we did that show, we were all praying for her, and unfortunately, Jeanette Zacaria Zapata passed away horrifically, right? She passed away. Horrifying story. Her father lost her. Everyone that's involved, the fighter who fought her in Canada, a very tragic end. And we can see why all boxing fans across social media were furious and irate at what went down last week when we took the week off, but it was huge news. Oscar Valdez tested positive for a banned substance. And the internet went crazy, man, because a lot of people felt very strongly with the news of a fighter just passing away that we need to do something to clean up this sport. And the sport is on a lifeline, basically, right? It's just surviving because of the wild YouTube fights and hardcore fans trying their hardest to keep pushing along and paying for fights, man. So we can understand why people were so upset. And I want to get right into that card, the ESPN card. But again, that was very sad and tragic. So we send our condolences to the family, man. It's a dangerous sport, right, Drew? I mean, this is a sport where your life is on the line. So we want to make sure that fighters get paid the most amount of money they can, because a career could be very short. We want to make sure that safety is at the utmost importance. This weekend, we saw Gabe Flores from Stockton, 209, just down the street from me, very close to our friend David Duenas, who still supports our podcast on the Leave It on the Ring radio network. Shout out to David, who will be coming back too soon to the air. That fight was dangerous, man. That fight, I want to get onto that fight. I want to get into the premiere of Xander Zayas at 154 pounds, who also did very well. And of course, the Oscar Valdez fight on Friday night, who many people many people think he didn't actually win that fight against Fransin Cruz, the Brazilian gold medalist, man. This guy is highly accredited. They fought as amateurs. So let's just get first into the good news. The good news is that I've been in contact with Xander since he started his pro career. He's been on our friends over at HCP, interviewed over there, I think twice at this point, man. He's just a really gracious, humble kid. And he started his career off at welterweight. He's trying to go for prospect of the year. Drew, did you catch his debut at 154 pounds? Let me get a little highlight up here because to me, that was some of the best news. Now, this Mexican kid he fought got countered hard and got dropped, but check out the snarl on Xander's face when he counters him, knowing that he dropped him, right? How good that felt for him. Look at the face he made right there, man. This kid did manage the Sanchez, the opponent, managed to go the distance with Xander. So another real test for him. Drew, what do you think of Xander's debut? Now we just talked to Jesus Ramos. These guys will probably never fight. He's Mexican-American and Puerto Rican. We would love to see this fight. Two top prospects. They're now both at 154 pounds, but I want to know, what's your thoughts on Xander moving up to 154?
That was the best decision. Like, you don't want to have trouble making weight for too long. You know, you want to know what, like, if it's time, like, you're having trouble making weight, you move up right away. Because if it can affect you eventually trying to lose that weight, and you'll probably be exhausted from it. And, like, the way, like, sometimes it might affect your fight. So, end of the day, he made the right choice. His team and him made the right choice to move up. And him going a distance only makes it better because he's getting experience now.
And you know what's interesting is that unlike Jesus Ramos and Brian Mendoza, who both came in at 154 pounds, actually Xander didn't even come in at 154. He waited at 151. So he still has time to develop. I don't think he's done growing, man. He's just a really strong kid. And they're testing the waters probably to see. Maybe it's getting harder to make weight. Again, he's barely 19 years old. So he's not even at the full limit yet at 154. But we see that he's carrying his power, which is really, really impressive. He's absolutely carrying his power. And that's one thing I'm a little concerned with Jesus Ramos Jr. moving up to 154. And the reason why is I think Jesus as a southpaw can box. He's slick and he's getting more confident in his boxing. But almost all of his knockouts were exclusively at 140 pounds because that's where he started his career. So I don't know if that power, if he's going to grow even stronger. And I absolutely hope he does because you mentioned it to me and I totally forgot how many heavy hitters at PBC 154 has. Not only Charlo, but that tall kid Fundora, right? I mean, there's just a lot of hot boxers at 154 at PBC, man. What are your thoughts on these two guys ever fighting, or like who do you think they'll be fighting at 154 at each prospective promotional company? Like at Top Rank, who do you think would be a good fight for Xander?
It's really hard to say because you're gonna have to really because you can possibly match him up with a Tim Sue eventually. Like, it's really hard right now to find matchups for him because you can even put Teixeira up against him, a former champion. Like, right now, you don't really have to make those decisions because he's still young and everything. So, you have to really just pick the right fighters right now for him if you think it's time for him to move up in competition. Teixeira's a good name to put in front of him, a former champion, to see where he's at with someone like Teixeira.
Yeah,
and someone
that's a great
not
choice.
really that much of someone that's not. I don't even think Teixeira's a big threat to him because Teixeira does lack a chin too.
Yeah, I love that you brought up Teixeira because I've been trying to scratch the surface of who would be a good opponent. A former champion. He just lost the belt to the Argentinian, and now we have Castaño that's just fought Charlo. We don't want to see him up against a Tim Tszyu yet, but Teixeira, like you said, he's not that big of a power puncher, and that's actually a real good test. If Xander's going to be prospect of the year, he's got to fight one more time. if he can knock somebody out that's a legitimate top 10 fighter at 154 at top rank, I think he's going to pretty much solidify prospect of the year. Unless Jesus Ramos also fights and does something pretty spectacular at 154. Those are my two top picks, and I'm glad that they've appeared not only on our show, but our colleagues' shows. Let me give a quick shout out. And remember, everybody, we're live, and Drew and I are debating whether just to get rid of the shoe shine and go full-time for football season and honor football season and go full football NFL. Nah, we just capping. Shout out to Nopal Boxianos, Chicano Prophet. Bella Bling is in the room. Always nice to have a female in the room.
Whoa. Did you just say we're just capping? We are not fucking capping.
Are you going to quit?
With all this bullshit going on, I think we should go football. Because tell you the truth, my team's 1-0, and my team is going to win the NFC East. I put it out there right now, we'll win the NFC East right now. And Jalen fucking Hurts is a bad fucking man.
Oh, man. I don't know what to do with the show, man. I don't know. But let me thank Ronald Finkley, who's new in the chat. Hey, Ronald Finkley, thanks for coming by the Shoe Shine. Nopal says football is GY. I don't know what that means. Maybe there's a letter missing. I'm not sure.
I'm not trying to be part. I'm not trying to have a group try to hit on me right now, man. Let's cut that out a little bit. The GY stuff. We all know what that is, guys. Let's calm down. I don't need that type of group. All right,
Run PMC. Run PMC says, isn't Drew always capping? Where's the official LDBC and Barbershop Junior? I did run into him in a different show, and I asked them to come back, and they said they were waiting for an apology from Drew. I said that's probably not going to happen, but they're absolutely welcome. Somebody give them a shout out and let them know we're back on the air. They can come over here and talk to us. They're not banned.
And Drew is not apologizing. Drew will just give you a flat out go fuck yourself.
Damn. Let me jump over why you're so heated, man, because this weekend, I want to jump over to another card because there's two fighters that I was really looking forward to. Bay Area guys. One of them is a friend of the show, Andy El Tiburon Vences from the 408. And there's Dave from the 408. Man, I was over 200 pounds there, man. I was embarrassed. That day I was kicking it with Andy in San Jose was right before he fought on the undercard of Tyson Fury about 2 years ago. And to this day, I still feel like maybe I jinxed him. But now Andy Vences has dropped 3 of his 4. Did I write this down, man? He's lost like 3 of the past 4 fights. And what is really interesting about Andy Vences is that he had a shot finally at a title eliminator, a WBA title eliminator against an Irishman, Drew.
You know what you should have done? You should have downloaded the Irish national anthem and play it on here because, tell you the truth, we're claiming freaking victory tonight.
Let me ask the chat, how do y'all feel about this? I mean, this is a common thing in the sport of boxing. It's Mexican Independence Day week. I've been hoping that there was something that we could be like really excited about, something great that happened in the sport of boxing. But we get John Corral, who came all the way from Ireland, and he came in. Man, this fight was down. It was a crossroads fight. Who wants it more? And man, like I tried to get a hold of Andy Vences. At the same time, I'm glad I didn't because I would have probably felt like I jinxed him again had he come on our show. But really, the best round Andy Vences had was the 8th round where it looked like he hurt him. There was a visible cut to the eye to John Corral. The referees, this is the only fight, it turns out, on the Triller card that was actually a legitimate fight. It's turning out, as Dan Raphael reports, that the rest of the card were exhibition. The Florida State Athletic Commission bamboozled us as well as Trilla. These weren't real legitimate fights, man. They could have had a predetermined outcome. They were just exhibitions. This was a real fight for a WBA title eliminator. And your Irish guy, I guess, just wanted it more because I was so happy. My wife and I were cheering on Andy in the 8th round going, dude, just 2 more rounds. This fight is a 10-rounder. You got this 4-4. Take the last 2 rounds. And unfortunately, another colleague of mine in the ring boxing, ITR boxing, Lukey boxing, he's very good friends with Andy. And he noted that when push comes to shove, Andy just does not throw enough punches. He waits too long to counter. And that was a deciding factor, man. Let's shout out to Sonteo Media. Andy Vences is a good fighter. He recently switched trainers. Maybe it's the adjustment, but I'm a fan of Andy in and out of the ring. In and out of the ring, Sonteo, yes, he's a fantastic stand-up guy. The switch he made to a gym in Hollister, California, for people who aren't familiar with Hollister, California, it's a rural town outside of San Jose, predominantly an agricultural town. So he's driving out to this town. I don't know, man. I've talked to other people who know. I don't know if that trainer was the right change. I do think that Andy working out in Salinas when he was working out not down south, there was a 126-pound fighter, Ruben Villa. I think that was a great sparring partner. I do feel really bad because this may have been his last shot at a 130-pound title. He had a really good chance of fighting Jamel Herring, but that is all, out of the picture at this point, man. I do wish Andy Vences to continue on with his career, and he's welcomed on the SHOESHINE anytime, man. So Nepal Boxano says, Guerrero's gym? Nah, not Robert Guerrero's gym, man. Unfortunately not. I don't know too much about the Hollister gym. Somebody told me he predominantly works with MMA fighters. I don't know if that's true. So again, I wish the outcome was different. That was the only real fight. Drew, your thoughts on John? I need to know, Drew, your thoughts on John Corrales. First time made. A lot of people have seen him. Does he stand a chance against Shakur Stevenson, Jamel Herring, or Oscar Valdez? Does he stand a chance against any of these guys?
Now let's move on to the winner. The guy that I chose to win this fight, that I had on my scorecard winning 7-3 on those rounds. A guy that actually, I'll tell you what won him the fight. And I'm going to be honest with you. Him easily getting inside Andy Vence, countering him, and nailing with a 1-2 a lot. And that jab. He boxed beautifully. And he was blind in one eye in round 9. And he was just going right after Andy Vence. And he was nailing punches on Andy Vence.
Yeah, the referee they kept sending in a doctor to take a look at that eye. It didn't look so bad from our perspective, but he said later that the blood was dripping dramatically in his eye. But look, the guy wanted it more. It was a very close fight.
To be honest, he does have a chance to beat these guys.
You think so?
Because
do you know who his 2 losses are? You know who his losses are too?
No, but you want to know who's his biggest win?
What's that?
Scott Quigg. He knocked out.
Yeah, he does. At featherweight, he's got an impressive resume, including Warrington. That's impressive. Warrington, who just was fighting a week ago, and that fight didn't pan out over that cut. But he's got an impressive resume. But I believe it was to another 130-pound champ. He's got a good resume. His losses come to quality opponents. And I don't want to get away from the Andy story quite yet because it ties into the fighter of 209, Gabe Flores, top ranks darling fighter from the 209 representing Stockton, California, man. He has a guaranteed contract. He's been on the show with HCP. He's well supported. He can draw a crowd in Stockton like you wouldn't believe, man. But the guy that Andy Vences just lost to, Luis Lopez from Mexico, that guy banged up Andy Vences he ripped up Andy Vences' face. So I'm not sure what the matchmakers at Top Rank were thinking that Luis Lopez, who upset Andy Vences as well, was going to be an easy night for the young Gabe Flores, man. Drew, a lot of people were mad about this fight going to the 10th round because he begged his dad, his trainer, please let me finish this fight. But if you saw his face and you knew he was defeated and you knew he didn't have the power to get the KO win in the 10th round against Luis Lopez, why send him back out there, man? You think he should have fought? You think his father should have stopped the fight?
Yes, because here's the thing. I think this is a poor matchmaking by Top Rank. Like, it's really parts like matchmaking. And Top Rank's usually right on with matchmaking. If you want to give one thing they're good at is matchmaking. on some levels. And they were really poor because this guy really was a dangerous opponent. Like, he literally was put, like, Gabe couldn't even get him off of him. If anybody watched that fight, Gabe Flores could not get him off of him. And, it's just, it was a bad matchup. And, this could really have killed a kid's psyche, the beating that he took in that fight. And his dad, like, hey, I give him all the credit for telling his dad, I want to continue and everything.
Yeah, he's a warrior.
And his dad was trying to stop it. And then the referee didn't even look at it. Tell you the truth, that could have been disaster. But, Gabe was not seriously hurt and everything. But he was hurt. Maybe you probably should have stopped it. He was not going to win this fight. He needed a knockout to win this fight. I had him needing a knockout to win this fight. I didn't see him winning this fight unless he knocked him out. And Gabe Flores is not known for his power.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not. There's been some criticism about his strength and conditioning on this one. And I think that's going to be key, man. I don't say that he's got to break apart from his father just yet. But they're in Vegas. Apparently, he was sparring Gervonta Davis and all these other top. There's always great sparring in Las Vegas. Our friend Francisco Esparza could tell you that. There's always great sparring there. If he was training with Gervonta Davis or whatnot. But to me, if he's not growing into his man strength, he needs to get a proper strength and conditioning coach, because Luis Lopez is a guy that if he's a prodigy at Top Rank, that he should get by, right? He should have outboxed him. But he didn't carry enough strength to stop the onslaught. He's like a Burchelt fighter, man. This guy, Luis Lopez, is very entertaining to me. Santiago Media said, yeah, he gives a lot of problems to a lot of fighters. He absolutely does. He's doing very well against boxers. And that's why, earlier in the year, we thought Burchelt was going to steamroll Valdez. It didn't pan out that way. Valdez was actually surprisingly strong, which brings us to this debate. Let's go with the rant, Drew. Your thoughts, man, because the WBC president, Suleiman, has released a statement. He's done an interview. Was the punishment on Valdez, was it too weak? I mean, hardcore boxing fans, are they upset for no reason, man? Should he have been stripped?
Oh, man. I'm cursing. I don't give a fuck.
What's that?
I'm fucking going on. I don't give a fuck. No, here's the thing. Let me start this with a little thing. Let me mention a name, Dillian Wright. The WBC heavyweight mandatory. How long has it been mandatory for, Dave? Like 5 years? Ever since Deontay Wilder was champion? Right? He was actually Wilder's mandatory. So he tested positive for a banned substance like 5 years ago almost. And Sudamov suspended him. Sudamov took away his mandatory shot. Sudamov moved him to number 2. Then he got back up to number 1 when he won his next fight, when he came back from his little suspension for one banned substance. Now, Oscar Valdez. How many banned substances did he get caught with, Dave?
Phentermine.
That's one substance, right?
Yeah, a stimulant.
He's a champion at 130. He got caught with one banned substance. And what happens? He gets a slap on the wrist. Oh, I'm going to bring him up to people. He could talk about not taking drugs. Winners don't use drugs. That fucking dude's not a little net if he uses drugs. But let's put it like this. Why wasn't he stripped?
Well, let me play this clip. Let's play this clip from the WBC, Suleiman himself.
Once VADA reports the result, it is the WBC that takes over the investigation. We had panels of experts. We reviewed the specific substance out to the ground. We had people. We went on and we talked to tens of people. And he was awarded a penalty. He's going to have a 1 year He's going to be 1 year in probation. He's going to have 6 months of unannounced testing, thorough testing. He's going to have to be certified in a series of programs that the WBC has put together involving nutrition, hydration, weight management, and substances. Him and his team. And he's going to have to be certified, and then he will go and be an ambassador for the clean boxing, doing at least 6 appearances. All of this is going to be paid by himself. So he...
Joe Lopez says, 1 year. Let me turn that off. 1 year probation. Oh man.
You know what?
Even I have a hard time. I have a hard time with this.
I gotta do this.
So-called punishment. Go ahead, Drew. So-called punishment.
I gotta do this. It's fun. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to get a year probation and do 6 appendices to talk about him taking drugs. We do not think he should be stripped of his title because I am on Canelo's dick so hard. If you look at Canelo, I am on your dick too, and he was on his dick.
Wait a minute, was that an impression of Suleiman? What do you guys think? I don't know, it's not a German, man. I'm like, who is that? That's not how Suleiman sounds.
It's like this. At the end of the day,
yeah,
that fat motherfucker's a piece of shit that's killing. That's one reason why boxing's in the state that it's in. All
right, it definitely is one. Nopal says that right now you sounded Indian, so I'll send him back to the drawing board on that one. On the impression there, Chicano Prophet says, well, it was a terrible impression, but an A for effort. All right, no, with all seriousness now, man, this is for reals. People were really pissed off about this because people's fighters' lives are on the line here, man. And the punishment didn't seem to fit because it seems like it's arbitrary. Like when it suits their fighter, they punish either one way or another. It's never fair, right? So is it time for the United States Congress to act, to pass legislation? All right, here's one thing about fighters. Why is Holyfield still fighting? Why did he beg to come back for a payday? Because, for one thing, the NFL has a players union. Baseball has a players union. Every other sport has a players union representing athletes. At the end of the day, if you play for 3 years in the NFL, you're vested into a pension, which means you're guaranteed to always have some source of income for the rest of your life. Not only that, because of CTE, concussions, and everything that they found, they're now providing money for healthcare benefits. And that's nothing that's offered as an independent contractor in the sport of boxing. We have four different sanctioning bodies, at least 4 titles: WBC, WBA, WBO. They don't even all apply the same standards for drug testing. Okay? So at the end of the day, when the WBC's new champion, which they like Oscar Valdez, they think he's a great sell, when he fails a banned substance test, and I went on many shows. I went on the round table and argued that maybe this stimulant shouldn't be on the list because it's on VADA's list, but it wasn't under the WADA, World Anti-Doping Association list. That list, that says that you can be on that drug right up until the contest 24 hours before. That's considered out of contest. You can be on that stimulant. I mean, it's like a prescription form of caffeine. Caffeine. Yeah, what if I just drink 8 cups of coffee a day to lose weight? You know what I mean? I don't think all the drugs on these lists apply. Some of them are extremely dangerous, like testosterone and whatnot. Of course, you don't want an athlete being disproportionately stronger than the other athlete, lethally stronger. That's not fair. But these 4 boxing commissions have their own set of rules. It's time for the U.S. Congress. If the United States is the face of boxing, where every fighter internationally wants to come here and fight, then these sanctioning bodies have to have some set of an overseer, an agency that oversees fighters, their health, their safety, the drug testing that's necessary. But there's just too many freaking rules, dude. There's like, everyone's got their own rules. It's damaging the sport. It's damaging the sport. And I'm serious as hell about a fighters union, man. There's no minimum pay to fight. You know, after you're done in the sport of boxing, you've got no health care. You know what I mean? You've seen UFC fighters. I saw a heavyweight UFC fighter that my friend had interviewed. His name was Silva, begging on what is that, GoFundMe, to help raise money for a surgery to repair a surgery that the UFC paid for his surgery when he was a fighter. It went horribly wrong. He's retired. He can't fight anymore. And he had to raise money for this operation because the UFC don't give a shit about you once you're gone. And the sport of boxing is the same way too. If you didn't make enough money and put it aside, you're on your own for covering your own healthcare needs. You know, you could end up in a wheelchair. It's devastating. It's really bad. We need some kind of uniform policies to clean up the sport.
I think the main thing is when it comes to drug testing, I think it should be the athletic commission that does that's in charge of the drug testing at least. Like, I think the VITA program is a bunch of BS. Tell you the truth, if it was me, I'd do the Olympic style drug test. Fuck it. Like, have the athletic commissions control the drug test, because there'll be one set of rules. And like everyone has to go by those rules. But the thing is, when you have corrupt, like, there's one word when it comes to boxing. The first thing that people, when it comes to boxing, subscribe boxing, is corruption. That is the first word, one of the main words that comes out of boxing, corruption. Why? Because there's so much corruption in this sport. Like, inside, out of the ring, like, sanctioning bodies, there's a whole bunch of corruption going there, especially the WBC and the WBA. Lacier Sumov is one of the lead candidates of corruption, and is in favor of being biased of favorable fighters and everything, making belts that don't make sense, have no value, and it come out of nowhere that, oh, you have the franchise, but it puts you in the next in line for a title match. And at the end of the day, man, what's the point? You put those belts up there so you make more money off sanctioning fees. And then when you have somebody violate one of your rules, you don't strip them when you strip the guy off his mandatory for having the same offense and everything. I understand you stripped David Benavidez of his title because he took an illegal drug, cocaine and everything, but it's not going to make him stronger and anything to kill somebody. Like, that drug, Oscar Valdez had a better chance of doing it than cocaine. Cocaine really messes Benavidez up. He takes too much. Hey, might make him not take that much pain like Tony Montana the night he got shot in Scarface and everything. But at the end of the day, doesn't do no harm to the opponent. I'm not saying it's cool to take cocaine and everything, but you can't hold nobody as a high standard and everything. He should have been stripped. He should have been suspended at least 6 months. That guy right there should be fighting for a world title again. The opponent that he had, which I think he beat Oscar Valdez that night, and it was terrible scoring. But we're gonna get to that topic because you want to get to that topic.
The whole David Benavidez thing, when he lost it on the scale for a second time, I mean, I was upset at David Benavidez. First and foremost, here's a distinction between cocaine and why I think the WBC did the right thing in the case of taking David Benavidez's title away. For one thing, the stimulant amphetamine is a controlled substance that is allowed by prescription, where cocaine, you have a champion that's an international champion who's knowingly using a illegal federal, a felony, a substance that's considered a felony. So I think ethically they did the right thing in punishing him by taking that belt away. It'd be the same if he was arrested for buying cocaine or crack off the street or having a heroin conviction. They did the right thing there. The amphetamine thing, it's like they used that damn loophole. They used the loophole of, I know we got VADA, but the WABA, the other WADA, they kind of supersede VADA. So we'll just go with the WADA rules. Man, I've been playing this in a loop because I want to move on to, we're talking about fighters and running out of money. You would think that Tito Ortiz, the money he made in the UFC, and then winning an election in Southern California, a place I really enjoy visiting and hanging out with my friends in Huntington Beach when I can. It's a great beach coastal town. It's also very conservative, which is why, as a Republican, he managed to win an election there. Why is he fighting? He doesn't have enough money stored up. I mean, like, it was the most embarrassing. Like, he've already embarrassed him. I remember watching him against the Iceman when I think it was Oscar De La Hoya goes, I'm putting on MMA. Right? And he got the Iceman and Tito Ortiz. And Tito Ortiz got his ass kicked then too. He had no business coming in fighting Silva, who legitimately looks like a guy who had, if he had stuck to boxing as a young man, and we know what he did in the UFC was impressive as hell. Impressive as hell, his career in MMA. He's 40-something years old and could still box. I mean, he could box. He's slipping these pathetic punches and countering and lights out, man. Tito Ortiz has no business being in the ring, as does Holyfield, as do a lot of these other guys that are 40 years plus fighting. No business. No business.
I'm glad he got his ass kicked.
By the way, Drew, Tito Ortiz beat Liddell on the Golden Boy promotion fight, right? You know, I saw that fight and it was so unmemorable. I thought he got his ass beat. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll have to look it up. Did he beat the Iceman?
He beat Chuck Liddell, but Chuck Liddell could barely walk.
Yeah, it was like there was.
That's how fucked up it was.
So I apologize, I got it wrong, but of course it wasn't a boxing only match. Tito has a long history of some severe back injuries, man. Shout out to D-Style. What's going on, brother? Hashtag HCP. Thank you for joining us in the room, and everybody who's hanging out with us, man. Tito Ortiz has no business going on. G-Funky also in the house. Yeah, man, really disappointing way to wrap up your career.
Like, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm glad Tito Ortiz got his ass kicked. Fuck Tito Ortiz. And at the end of the day, man, this dude comes along, like, you know, he did it for a payday.
How basic is Tito Ortiz? This guy here, Formal Fan at Formal Fight Fan on Twitter, posted this video edit right here. The same punch 3 times. And people commented, hey, Leo Santa Cruz tried the same thing, and Gervonta Davis had knockout of the year. Trying the same punch, 3 pathetically slow left hooks. Man, it was there for the taking to be knocked out. Oh, man. All right. Holyfield. Your thoughts on Holyfield. And now we find out from Dan Rafael that thing was an exhibition. I mean, it was an exhibition. Remember, this fight was supposed to be, when I was talking to people who were handling Andy Vences, they were prepared to go to L.A. And at the last minute, Oscar De La Hoya gets COVID, which, I mean, I feel bad for Oscar, man, but I don't know what was going on in his gym that he wasn't screening people. But that's how we ended up here with this weekend, with this card being moved to the state of Florida, the only place that would allow Holyfield at 58 years old to come in and fight.
But you want to know something, man? This is the same place that denied Antonio Tarver a fucking boxing license to box Frank Mir on another trial sale. And he's like over 10 years younger than Holyfield. And you gave a 59-year-old guy a boxing license? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, seriously. What, number one, what is wrong with Triller putting a 59-year-old guy that has not been in an actual boxing match in over 10 years in a ring with someone that is over 10 years younger than him? That is still built. Victor Belfort is juiced up like a motherfucker. Let's look at him right now. He's
a known steroid user. Yeah, he's a known steroid user. And what disgusted me the most about Vitor Belfort is the celebration. Like, he had just beat someone's ass who was like a 22-year-old rising prospect or a champion with a different belt. You know, you beat up a 58-year-old version of a legend. I don't know why he was celebrating the way he was, man. A bit crazy, his celebration, don't you think? Unwarranted a little bit.
This is what I saw. I saw a couple of ex-pro boxers. I'm naming 2 of them right now: Shannon Briggs and Philadelphia's own Fast Eddie Chambers. They want to fight Victor Belfort because of what happened. And they want Triller to sanction it so they can knock out Victor Belfort. Because, tell you the truth, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Fucking Triller is killing boxing. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make these bullshit fights up with MMA fighters beating old-ass boxers that had glorified days that they know that the MMA guy should be able to beat this old-ass boxer now because the guy can't do anything. They're killing boxing. They're trying to put it back to life support, probably put it in the final nail in his coffin, make a joke out of it, put YouTubers in the ring and try to box with nobodies or former NBA basketball players. And then after that, try to get high, smoke a cigar, drink some fucking vodka or something, watching the fight. It's a load of bullshit. And it's a shame because somebody could really get seriously hurt.
Oh, absolutely, or killed. It's all tying into why this has been a horrible month for boxing. Not just a horrible month, but really a horrible year for the sport of boxing. Now, we were talking earlier about Gabe Flores, and I wanted to give a shout out to our friend In the Ring with Christine, because I found this on my Twitter timeline regarding the Gabe Flores thing. She said, "We got to protect our warriors. This is the part I don't like." Flores Lopez. And her friend who does her co-host Fotografía de la Gente, Esme Ferraro, says, "Life or health isn't worth risking for the sake of entertainment." But it was directed at the Flores Lopez fight that many people thought should have been stopped in the 9th round or earlier. But really, the same thing goes for everyone, including Evander Holyfield, who has no business and should have stayed retired. He had no business fighting at 48 anymore, because what he did is legacy as one of the world's best cruiserweights ever, as someone who beat Tyson, as a fantastic heavyweight himself. I don't know why Vitor Belfort thinks he's one of your favorites, Usyk. I mean, he's dancing around like he's Usyk, like he did something special. But if he thinks he's that good, I wouldn't mind seeing Usyk, man, because Usyk beat him up. We know that Usyk, that's a fight that I bet Drew Evo can't wait to talk about. Usyk versus Joshua. There are some real heavyweight fights coming up. Two really, 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 really damn good ones, man. The trilogy, Deontay Wilder, and, of course, the Gypsy King, and Usyk versus Joshua, man. Those are great heavyweight fights coming up in less than a month. But one more quick story I want to get out, because I just brought up that tweet by Leave It in the Ring with Christine about people getting hurt. This thing shocked the hell out of me because it barely got any buzz, but it absolutely has to do with the health and safety of combat sports, people who are in combat sports, and it's very divisive. All right, I'm not making a stand against anyone, but I got to put this up. All right, it's from the New York Post. There was a matchup this weekend in the sport of MMA. A transgender fighter, Alana McLaughlin, wins in her MMA debut. That's right. Alana McLaughlin was born a man, and was an elite. I believe she was in the military as an elite meaning either like Green Beret or some type of elite special forces, and decided that he wanted to live his life as a woman. I showed this to my wife, dude, and listen, I am all for transgender rights, LGBTQT community, but this irks the hell out of me. How can you allow a man who's transformed into a woman to fight women? Bro, that if anyone's going to get killed, they're going to kill a woman in there. I mean, we just had a woman die in the sport of boxing, an 18-year-old woman, and we're allowing men? I mean, they don't allow transgender athletes in the Olympics, do they? I mean, refresh my memory. Do they allow transgender athletes in the U.S. Olympics to compete against women?
This is technically a crime.
Right. I mean, if somebody dies, are we going to wait until somebody dies?
Like, this is like domestic violence, and people are preaching about this shit. And then I'm sorry. I'm sorry if people feel some type of way about this, that we're getting on for having a transgender woman fight a real woman. I'm sorry, but you should really see this point of view, that transgender woman has no business in a ring or in a cage with an actual woman.
Chicano Prophet says, don't get PC on us, Drew. And of course he didn't. Tell us how it is. Chicks with a package shouldn't be fighting actual women. We just had a female fighter from Mexico die, man. It was so tragic. A-Rod 83 Boxeo. Yup, the strength don't go the way with cutting off the huevos. She's still strong as a man. And also Bruce goes, Bruce goes, confirmed it. Check out the before pics he mentioned. She used to be a Green Beret. Damn, I don't know how this, the girl who got in the ring with her, I don't know how she had the courage to get in there knowing what she knew. But her manager, you know, it goes back to your manager. Man, that's could potentially be deadly. That's to talk about an unfair advantage for sure, man. Oh, man.
Like, I'll be honest with you. This is a very hard topic to talk about.
Right, because we don't want to be politically incorrect and get thrown off the internet or against YouTube, because we're not saying they shouldn't compete. But my wife pointed out, shouldn't they have their own competition?
Like, I'll be honest with you. I did an interview last night on my boys' show, Sir Charles' show last night on Twitch. And this was one of the topics they were talking about. They were talking about that. We were talking about numerous topics and everything. This came up, and the one thing it makes it really hard to talk about topics like this, because of if you say the wrong thing, even though it's the right thing ain't always the right thing to say at that time. And if you come along and said the right thing, but it turns out to be the wrong thing because people feel offended, and then they come on and tell them to take your video down or give you a copyright strike,
right?
Because you said there's, the figure say, oh, transgenders shouldn't be allowed to do sports and everything. And that's the thing. Even though it is freedom of speech, it's not free. There are certain things on here you cannot say that make people offensive and everything.
All right. Well, maybe I should get off the story subject, but Jessica O'Donnell here says, alternative headline, just zoom in on that. Alternative headline, man cheats. All right. So enough of that story, but going back to fighter safety, we do have a caller on the line. Let's talk to 559. 559, you're on the Shoe Shine.
What up? It's A-Rod.
A-Rod, ¿qué pasa, homie? Yeah, man. You doing the show tomorrow night al Chile?
We did it today in the morning, brother.
Oh my God, man. I didn't get the notification. You know how YouTube is. I'll catch the replay, man. I appreciate you calling us, man. What is on your mind?
I just wanted to touch on the subject you guys were talking about right now. Yeah, like, somebody like that wanted to be planning to get into the fighting world, you know what I mean? They knew that by going in the woman way, you know what I mean? Kind of like that one movie where the dude played basketball as a woman kind of shit. They know they got an advantage, you know what I mean? They know they're stronger. So they shouldn't use their rights to be able to be considered a woman just to be able to get into a fighting war, you know what I mean? So I don't think that's right. I think they should have their own what do you call it? Their own fight cards and stuff, like away from women. If they don't want to fight against men, then they should fight against other transgenders. But it's going to be hard. There's not that many.
Yeah, you bring up a great point that there's probably not enough to create a league around that. But I mean, it would be fair. The same way that we have the Special Olympics for athletes with disabilities. There's enough of them to have actual competition. Maybe there's not enough to do the transgender thing, but it's the appropriate thing because, somebody's life could be at risk from fighting somebody who's unnaturally much, much stronger than you are. And that's absolutely something that can potentially be lethal, man. So I agree with you on that 100%. I had a story.
Trained in the military.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to hit somebody, you know what I mean? They're just all around stronger person.
Yeah, well, I got you guys on the phone. There was an athlete, and I met this woman, Fransin Cruz. She is, I believe, the middleweight champion of the world. She is contracted with Golden Boy. Oscar De La Hoya has been promoting her. She fought a woman from Mexico, Alejandra. I forget her name, man. But anyhow, in that fight, Alejandra tested positive. And on the internet, the social media reaction on that night of the fight was like, yo, Fransin Cruz is she fighting a man? Jokingly, people were joking, being harsh about the appearance of Alejandra. But it turned out that Alejandra Jimenez tested for loads of testosterone. So in that case, they actually did overturn the decision, which was the appropriate thing to do. She could have been killed in there fighting a woman who's on roids. She could have been gravely hurt. Yep. They did the right thing there, which is one of the rare times they do something that's appropriate. But today I'm reading from Fransin Cruz that she was originally going to fight on the Teofimo Lopez card. Andy Vences was on that same card. That card fell apart. Then she said she was going to supposedly fight with what we just saw this week, and they pulled her from that card. And then they pulled her tomorrow night. Trilla is having a versus rap battle with fighting, and they told her she was going to be on that, and they yanked her from that too. So I feel for her. I met her and her husband. She's a really nice woman. She's friends in the ring with Christine. She can't catch a break right now. So go out there and support Fransin Cruz on social media. Send her some love. Tell her you can't wait for her fights, or just follow her, man, because she can't seem to catch a break lately, man. I really like her. Drew.
Like, I'll be honest with you, that girl that she fought that was on that stuff, she was actually a heavyweight. She fought a heavyweight in the women's.
She did, yeah. Alejandra Jimenez was the heavyweight champ, and she melted down to middleweight to fight her.
Yeah, so now there's your question how she lost all that weight, but at the end of the day, man, Trillo doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Seriously, they scheduled Teofima's fight for August. That poor food, because mysteriously Teofima has COVID, but mysteriously they didn't have that Car Rock Cafe, stadium even halfway sold out.
Yo, I'm trying to wrap up this show, but you're talking about Teofimo. You're gonna get people are gonna say you hating on Teofimo, but Teofimo did bring up something very newsworthy at the broadcast of the ESPN card, and this is probably driving you nuts. And I haven't asked you about it yet, Drew. You're laughing, A-Rod. It's the fact that Teofimo says, "I don't need to fight Loma again." I'm paraphrasing. I did that already, and I beat him. And I'm looking forward in my career. Ooh, let's let our caller chime in. Let's let our caller first. A-Rod, your thoughts on Teofimo saying no rematch needed? No rematch needed, A-Rod.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see. I mean, everybody has that controversy, but he believes he wins it. He believes that he's a better man. And also, he has a point that if it would have been the other way around, he would have never got a rematch himself. You know what I mean? If they stole the fight from him, or if he got robbed, Lomachenko would have never been forced to give him a rematch. So he's going in that route also. So I mean, if he has bigger and better things to do, and he don't think that he need to prove anything, then it's up to him, right?
But you make a point that he echoed that sentiment by saying, I might be moving up to 140. I mean, when you say bigger and better things, if Teofimo does vacate the title and move up to 140 and take his chances against Josh Taylor, that is really taking a step forward in your career. That is a tremendous challenge, Drew. Drew, are you going to be really pissed if they never rematch?
I'm going to be honest. It's time to call some motherfuckers out. I'm not going to say no names, but it's time to call some motherfuckers out because I did it on Twitter, and I'll do it again too because Drew don't give a fuck. If you get butthurt by it, I don't give a flying fuck. You can kiss my ass at the end of the day.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's like this. When you got your daddy going on top rank, saying on the Loma card, my son will give Lomachenko a rematch, and then you go back on it, that's bad business. That's just being a bitch and wanting.
Oh, shit.
At the end of the fucking day, someone said, Loma fanboys getting salty? I'm going to be honest with you. Those are words from a Teo fanboy. Because there are your Teofimo fanboys out there. They are, and let me be honest, when you do a podcast when everybody decides to go into the podcast business and talk about a sport, your first intention should be, I'm a fan of the sport, not a fan of a particular thing, fighter, team, anyone. Now, I understand we have some dick riding YouTubers, and they're always going to be dick riding YouTubers like LDBC people and other YouTubers. But they're part of the reason why boxing is in the state it's in.
The YouTube community, people like us, people like you and me.
Because it's like this right now. You can say all you fucking want that Teofimo made easy work of fucking Lomachenko. But we all see it in the middle of that fight when Lomachenko came back and backed Teofimo up. That young boy had a lot of problems fighting backing up. And that's the main reason why Teo don't want no fucking smoke with Lomachenko again. And then see what he did to Nakatani, a guy that fucking, he struggled against.
Okay, I will say this. I didn't think there was a need for a rematch initially because it was an impressive win against Lomachenko. But when I saw Lomachenko come back against Nakatani, I think he made a strong argument for a rematch. Let's do this again. When he had that impressive win, he looked like the old Lomachenko. And for once, I thought maybe it was a fluke. But again, if the YouTube community, if the podcasters, if social media and Twitter boxing and Instagram boxing, if we don't demand this rematch, there will be no rematch. And Teofimo will move on. If we demand it, there might be a rematch. Because
here's the thing.
I think they do. There's quite a few boxers that are on social media and reading people's. I saw Shakur Stevenson get into it this week with, I think, Lalo's Boxing from Twitter. I mean, like, there are boxers that you can get under their skin on social media. G Funky says 9-3, easy work, Drew. You're living in a dream world.
You know what, man? I'm gonna let G Funky live. Because if I say, I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I'm cool as hell with G Funky.
Because sometimes you guys agree, but on the Lomachenko thing, I think agree to disagree.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna let him live because I'm cool as hell with G Funky. But the thing about it is, you interviewed the daddy already. You're cool as shit with the daddy already. So that shit, because your shit, what you say is kind of suspect.
Oh God!
And I can't really fully believe in that shit. So it's G Funky on this topic. You're the king of capping.
Listen,
so go hold your so-called title belt.
He's gonna come for you.
And you can
Listen,
call that the king of title.
If we got the interview, with Teofimo, you better believe I'd be wearing a Teofimo t-shirt all day. I'd be like talking to you, Drew.
Hey,
get yourself in check, Drew. We are not losing out any interviews.
You know me. Anytime I interview somebody, I keep it 100. If we interviewed a dude and I said the dude's gonna lose, I'll say on the next show that I think the dude's gonna lose.
That's why, Drew.
I like the dude.
You should be,
because here's the thing: you gotta keep it 100. You can't be a fan of a particular fighter when you do this shit. You gotta be a fan of the sport. And there's a lot of motherfuckers that don't realize that shit, and they want to be on people's dicks all the time, and they want to try to be fanboys. You want to be fanboys? Be a fanboy, but at the same time,
I'm the fanboy.
How you see it, man. Motherfuckers winning right now, and that's how it is. I'm not no fanboy. I love the sport of boxing, but at the end of the day, you kind of owe the motherfucker a rematch.
Let's put it this way.
At the end of the day,
yes,
the whole community wants this rematch to happen. And when your own dad says on national TV that my son will give you a rematch, even told the president and CEO of Top Rank, my son would give Lomachenko a rematch and shake the fucking hand of him and shake Loma's manager. And then your son goes back. I knew this was going to happen. I knew he was going to back out of it. Because you want to know why? He knows he's going to lose to Lomachenko because when it starts, Teo's not going to know what's hit him. He's going to see it, and he's going to see the true Lomachenko, that Lomachenko's not going to fuck around. And like I said in the first fight, like it should have happened, I predicted when they shake hands, Lomachenko would stop Teofimo late.
All right.
Now,
drop a
he's
comment.
running.
If you catch the
He's
replay,
fucking
make
running.
sure you leave a comment. Is Drew a fanboy for Lomachenko? Is Dave a fanboy for anyone who gives him an interview? Let's put it this way, Drew. You should be the journalist of the two, because I will take a publicist job any day, because I hate my job so much that the first person that gives me a job in the sport of boxing, I will freaking take it, man. I'll be a publicist for a fighter who's 3-0. Give me a job in boxing and I'll take it, and I'll make him out to be the hottest thing in the sport of boxing has ever seen, and I got no shame in saying that. All right, man. Joe Lopez says, I'm a Chavez Jr. fanboy. All right, man. Let's lighten up the mood, Drew, because you're on fire.
But at the end of the day,
Listen.
man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like G Funky, all the shit you say when it comes to Teofimo and everything, man, that's just evidence of a fanboy right there. And I'm being honest with you, man. Like, I love you to death, man, but some of the shit that you fucking say about when it comes to Teofimo and everything, it makes you suspect to be a fanboy. And I'm sorry, man. Like, I know you interviewed the dude's dad and everything, man, but it can't be biased, man. Just stop being biased, man.
Well, who is biased? Who is being biased? A-Rod is laughing. Listen, I think the mood is right now. The mood is right.
Hey, didn't I say he beat Lomachenko? Didn't I say he beat Lomachenko 7-5?
Yes. 7-5.
Thank you.
But there was a cloud of mystery. There was a cloud of
Don't say I
mystery
don't
for
give
a
no
long
credit.
time. For a very long time.
No credit on beating him.
People were under the impression you gave Lomachenko 7 rounds to 5, and we had to repeatedly correct that. But this brings me to a hot topic, because I know you like Eastern European fighters. No, I think we met. People don't know, how did Dave and Drew even met? We met talking about Eastern European fighters. I think we were talking about Kovalev on some chat or something. Next thing you know, Drew and I are hooking up doing a podcast together. And one of the best Eastern European fighters is going to be fighting, and that is Usyk, and against Anthony Joshua. That is an amazing fight. Will the smaller cruiserweight, will two gold Olympians, will a gold Olympian who's a cruiserweight beat the Olympic heavyweight? If you want to make a bet with Drew Evo, you make sure you catch next Monday's podcast and call Drew, post it up, let us know what wager you're willing to make, because Drew, I think it's time for another wager. Because I'm pretty sure you're going to call us, let us know that Usyk is your choice, right?
I got bets going on for the fucking Eagles game next week, Dave.
Is the Eagles game next Monday night? You telling me there's no show?
No, it's next Sunday. We're playing yous next week.
All right. War Usyk, Wilder Usyk for Undisputed. Chicano Prophet says, call in, G Funky. If it's not tonight, next Monday.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not good for him to call in, because I'm not trying to go. He's going to say shit.
Well, maybe he thinks Usyk is going to win. But if you're calling out people on people's favoritism.
You damn right. You damn right I got Usyk beating Joshua. Like I'm gonna say something real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dave, and everything. I was reading the
we're wrapping up the show, but I want to make sure people tune in next Monday for our predictions, because that fight is right around the corner, and there's very little to talk about that's exciting.
I don't know, Dave. Should we quit?
Oh, go ahead. The floor is yours, Drew.
Do you think we should quit? Because there's so much bullshit going on, man. People like, spitting bullshit out, man. Like, people fucking being corrupted about fucking fighters not being stripped of the belts because they took the juice and everything. People like,
stimulant.
It's fucked up, because shit could lead to people fucking dying.
Right, that's true.
And getting killed and everything. And like at the end of the fucking day, man, like, seriously, there's a lot of things that's fucked up about boxing and why it's in the state it's in. Like, you could blame Triller for it. You can blame the WBC, WBA, Sumov. You could blame some of these fucking biased channels about it. Fanboys. You can blame that shit, And like, seriously. But you want to know who's one of the main culprits?
Okay.
The fighters. And I'm going to say why. When you got these young boys today They don't want to fight other young boys. They don't want to lose. They're too scared to lose their L.
Are you bringing you're bringing up a whole new problem there? Yes, I agree on that, but I did title the show. I'm over here trying to make clickbait because the shoe shine ain't going nowhere. As bad as boxing is, we're just getting started on YouTube, trying to move to this new platform. We ain't going nowhere just yet, because I got hope in the young fighters. I got hope in fighters like, Gabe Flores, despite losing, representing the 209, having that warrior spirit in him. That's what keeps the sport going. People like Gabe Flores, people like Andy Vences, who even having 3 or 4 losses, still has dreams about fighting for a title shot. You know what I mean? His whole life is based on getting to that goal. Fighters that we saw, and we had on our show, Jesus Ramos Jr. could be a future champion. Xander Zayas, who's doing all the right things, saying all the right things, doing all the right things in the ring. I got hope for the sport of boxing. So the shoe shine ain't going anywhere. And I look forward to working with all the podcasters, whether Drew or not thinks they might be on a suspect list. I do remind Drew that you are on the watch list.
I don't give a fuck if I'm on the watch list. It's just a shame, man. Let me tell you something. That last comment that I just saw, can't do interviews now or you're a fanboy? Dude, what the? Seriously, man. Thing is, at the end of the day, man, there's a difference of doing an interview and being a fanboy. Doing an interview is like being cool and everything. Hey, I understand you're supporting the dude, but at the same time, man, you're thinking that everything that they're doing is perfect and everything. That they're not doing, that they can't do bad shit and everything, man. I fucking call Tyson Fury out for the shit that he's pulling right now, and I like Tyson Fury. Seriously, I fought Bernard Hopkins. I tell people my all-time favorite fighter, Bernard Hopkins. And what the fuck? I fucking tell people why he lost to Joe Smith. Seriously, he took too much time off at his age. He didn't have it anymore. At least I can be 100 and say shit like that. And I can interview somebody.
Drew, your mic is feedbacking like crap. I think we broke the mic. I think the rant broke the mic. I think it broke the mic, y'all. And I think the mic is legit broken. I think the rage that was filled in Drew Evo tonight and the rant has broken the microphone. And now we're going to need donations to get a new mic so we can come back on the air next Monday. Because we could go on this shit. But no, someone brought up something important. Nopal did say, did we get 100 subscribers yet? Yeah, I'm being humble, guys. I need help. We need help getting to that 100 subscribers because I swear once I get the name, our own dedicated name, I can't wait to print out stickers and t-shirts and go hit the fights and give them away, man. Because if you're supporting us, I want to give you guys a little something for that. So if you have any friends who've never watched the show, love us or hate us, tell them to subscribe, maybe check us out. I really do appreciate that, man, because I'm ready to give away some merchandise. And definitely leave a comment for Drew, because he broke the mic. Drew, I think you broke the mic. We got to talk after this.
We broke the mic. I didn't break no fucking mic. I told the fucking truth. It's not my fault the mic can't handle the truth.
Your mic can't handle the truth, man. Run PMC, thanks a lot. All right, guys, this has been the Shoe Shine. Hey, A-Rod, thanks a lot for coming on. Everyone, Al Chile, Nopal Boxianos, if you didn't hit a like or a dislike, leave us a comment. We'll be back on the air next Monday. Thanks to everyone who stopped by, G Funky, D-Styles, A-Rod, and everyone in the chat, man. I really appreciate you guys coming by. We'll catch you on the Shoe Shine next week. Peace. I'll talk to you later, Drew. Peace out, everybody.